Steve Basic Architect for the Build Show. Yeah, we're out here, one of our newer projects starting up here. This one here I'm calling our off-site build because we're doing a bunch of stuff off-site for this. Foundations, the floor frame, the wall frame, the roof frame, all of that stuff is getting fabricated somewhere else, trucked out here, and then erected here as a house, as a kit of parts. So very interesting to be part of that. I haven't done much of that in my career, so it's really interesting to have this come together as part of that. But today we're just going to talk about the foundation system. I'm standing out here. You can see we have the excavated basement. We have our 1.5-inch stone bed here, which is basically our 10-inch capillary break underneath the slab. But we're here to talk about the foundation system. Notice that when I migrate to the perimeter of the excavation, I come up about 6 or 8 inches. I get on about a 3.5 foot swath of smaller stone. Smaller stone's easier to rake. You can compact it here. But notice that it's nice and level. The guys have been out here with their levels and transits and such, setting this up. The interesting thing about Superior Wall is it's not a traditional foundation system that then gets set on concrete. It actually gets set on this stone footing. So you place this pad, you compact it, you make sure it's nice and level, and then the pressure of the house, the structural loads, come down and are dispersed through this stone pad, this compacted stone pad below us. Now, one of the beauties of that system is the fact that water can migrate left and right from the outside to the inside if it needed to be. We're, as I walk down here along the footing, you can see our excavation got to about 12 feet, but we have a lot of areas where we have ledge, and you can see we have water leaking through that ledge and coming out here. So having the ability for water to migrate under that system is certainly a plus. So you can see the gents have everything marked out here for that wall system, and probably in about a week and a half, the rest of the walls are going to come out. They're going to be delivered here. We'll have a crane, and the plan is that this will get set in about 3 days, the whole foundation wall system here. And it simply gets bolted together like you would imagine a kit of parts. So you can see here, it basically, that stone footing traces around the perimeter of the building. We'll have a beam in here that picks up the load so that you can move freely through the basement. Turns the corner here, but as we get down to this part of the site, you can see we went from that 12 foot high, and as the grade came down, now we're only about 2 or 3 feet above grade here. We're going to fill in that a little, but what we had to do here was we actually had to put the foundation deeper into the ground because we have a 4 foot minimum frost depth here. We're in central Massachusetts, and so our footing had to drop down, and the Superior Wall will make that adjustment to go down, and then in this trench here, that wall will continue all the way across the system here. You can see the lines there showing the basic outline of what's going on with that foundation wall. But one of the other interesting parts of this is right about here, we switch from house to garage. And rather than put a foundation wall in and fill it all in with dirt, the homeowner opted to continue that Superior Wall down through the system. And I am standing on what will be the slab of the basement under the 5-car garage. So we'll have a concrete reinforced plank above my head here someday in the near future, and it will house that 5-car garage the land you see there, that's going to come up about 3 or 4 feet there to meet the entry of that garage. But pretty much all of this is going to be basement underneath the garage. You can see that foundation front goes down through here. We have 2 locations where superior wall footings are going to go, and the reason for those 2 are right in between it we have a roll-up door, so that we're going to have the ability to get access into this space, drive-in access from below. And then you can see as it turns the corner, it steps back up. They'll continue that pad across there. So let's head back onto the studio. We'll break out some drawings and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the superior foundation wall. So I'll see you back at the studio. All right. So you see the guys are hard at it out there, putting in that stone, getting everything ready, setting in locations for footings, radon pipes. We got it all happening out there. Plumbing. Yeah, that site is getting prepped. Walls are a coming. And when they're there, it ain't going to take long for them to put that foundation together. So got Big Red. We got some info here to talk about. So let's get after it. All right. So you can see here, just for the record, this is not my drawing. This is a shop drawing from Superior Walls. All right, so they drew this. This maps out pretty much every bit of the scope of work that they do out there. And we'll give a shout out. TB Build was they were the installers. So Superior Walls made the panels. TB Build was the subcontractor that handled the installation. So there was a lot of cool stuff happening out there, but you can see here, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I could sit here and trace out the whole house. Right? You can see this goes down and around, comes down here. It'll tuck in, drips out, and then we have that long wall there. Garage. And traces around there, and then we have that bump out here where this area is going to get backfilled. That's a front porch slab that'll get in there, but you can see all the panels. You know, they have all their mitered corners where they talk about it, where panel joints are, where window openings are here, so they don't leave anything obviously to chance. They can't. You're dealing with concrete here. These were their 10-foot X1 walls, or I think it's like extra insulation plus or something, but it's X1, and these were 10-foot there. In addition to the walls, they did all of the footings. So we had to provide them with the reactions, right? That's what these footings need to react to. So our structural engineer basically calculated what the load is there, and then, all right, so if you have the ground, you have a load coming down on it, and our structural engineer did that. What they did is they designed the footing for the reaction, and the reaction obviously has to be enough to handle the load, right? So, because if it doesn't, the building fails. So, and the reaction is probably usually a little more than the load anyway. So, that way there, something changed in the house, that footing is still going to be able to handle it. But also, notice, you know, if you remember down there, we'll see it actually in the floor. I'm saying it like you were all there with me the other day. We actually have these 3 beam lines there. So notice that there's also footings under each of these corners here and under the wall there. right? So those are in line with those footings, and then we have a couple more footings there and a couple more footings there. So, you know, superior wall takes the whole structural system and calculates those reactions. They build those footings to accommodate those reactions, but there's also footings under the corners of the wall and sections of wall that are going to be taking point loads or column loads down. So you'll see that, you might have seen that in the video. I think I pointed it out, but where those columns or those corners are basically solid. And then of course you can see it here. It's a little hard to read. This is just a set of parallel lines, but over here we actually have 3 lines, right? And the reason for that is because we have that haunch in the wall that is made to receive our 10-inch plank, right? Our 10-inch concrete plank is going to come in, because remember, this is under garage space. And we're fortunate that, you know, the ground sloped down here in such a way that we could have tried to build this grade up, you know, 4 or 5 feet, or we just pretty much left it where it is, and now the homeowner gets, you know, a workshop in the basement and gets access, pretty much drive in, drive out access to the underside of the basement. You know, the other thing to understand out there that you'll see in the upcoming videos where I talk a little bit more about this stuff, we actually have a couple shear walls in here. So these are actually superior walls that go to the inside. This length of wall here, there was no lateral stability there. So, you know, when you have these walls and you have joints in them, then this wall here wants to do that. And so we need to protect against that. And just like that column load, you have that lateral load. Well, these shear walls are designed to create a lateral resistance that overcomes that load, keeps your wall nice and straight. And then we have that haunch. So yeah, I think in a couple weeks, or next week maybe, yeah, and it's next week actually scheduled for. So you'll see where I have, you know, a whole series of videos. I was out there the day they were installing this. So you can look for those column corners, those footings, the shear walls. The stuff is all in there, and they did actually even a stairwell here, and it has a doorway here, but that is made so that you can go up the stairs to the garage without having to go outside of the project. And some of that you can see here. Grab this other image here. This is a real nice and easy way to see it. You know, you get to see all the different things that are happening here. We'll start up here. You know, here's your 3 garage doors. We have a double, a single, and a double here. So there's our 3 garage doors happening. Here is that basement access into the workshop. This is that stairwell that I just talked about, right, in the door to it. So you can go in there and you'll have these stairs that go down or up, depending on which direction you're traveling, whether you're going up to the garage or not. But also notice that haunch. You can see it there and there and there and there. And I have some video of where we're flying that into here in the near future. So we'll keep you apprised of everything that's going on. But here's those 2 shear walls at those 2 demising points between the garage doors. We have those in there, and then obviously the access that gets us from the under garage workshop into the basement. And then you can see here, we have those loads with the footing. You can see they have that highlighted there and there. And then we have one there, there, and there coming down these walls here. And then that's connecting those beams there. And then you can see we have these additional footings, which will have columns that go up. There's one there. And so when we go to put our floor assembly in, now we have pretty much base 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those are all going to span laterally like that and give for a really nice clean basement layout. And then of course there's that front wall and it's dropped down, but that'll all get backfilled in because we're going to have our landing here, have our stairs going down to the driveway. And you know, of course, grade here is going to be, you know, somewhere right there. So we'll bring that up. Also, you know, these openings, they're all cast inside that wall. So very, very cool stuff. So that's what we have coming. I know we were out there and we were just talking about the prep here, but I'm going to do another video here where we're going to talk a little bit more about the panels themselves, and you'll get a slightly better understanding. So anyways, that's our foundation wall prep. Well, there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you're still looking for more, Build Show Network. Yeah, literally hundreds of videos. Go check them out. Check out all my colleagues too. That'll get you up to thousands of videos to watch. So hopefully you enjoy that. If you're still looking for more, you can find me in all the right places. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Steve Basic Architect. Go check it out. On Build It Podcast. Yeah, that's right. Team up with my two buddies, Jake Brute and Peter Yost. Talk about everything building. It's on all the audio channels as well as YouTube. So yeah, we upload them there so you can actually watch the antics. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. And until next time, you know it, long live our buildings.